Hello and happy Saturday. We have another Saturday food support group with this lovely, amazing group of humans. And I am so grateful to call them my friends. Um, and so we just have a couple of updates on what we've gone through this past week. And so this morning, we're going to start with Monica. So Monica, go ahead and let us know what your update is and what's going on with you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Emily. So part of my food addiction, I am a compulsive overeater, and for me, that looks like grazing. I understood the feeling when I was full, but as soon as I wasn't full and there was food left over, I'm taking a couple more bites until I felt full and until that food was gone. And so I've done a lot of repair in that area. And part of me continuing my journey to health was to allow myself to have one off-plan meal a week. I don't cook on Friday nights, no matter what, because I cook every other meal of the week for my daughter and I. And so I would allow myself that Friday night meal out. If I had a taste for something, all I had to do was get to Friday and I could have it. And that kept me in a mentally healthy place with my addiction. But in the recent weeks, I have discovered that one Friday night meal turned into leftovers on Saturday, which then turned into a weekend of grazing, whether it was on plan foods or not, and then just being off for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I had to acknowledge that because I realized that was a thing that I was hiding. And as soon as I knew that, number one, two things hit me that are totally my addiction, is that I said, oh, the next week I can do it and I won't do this again. And I did it again and I did it again. And I lied to myself week after week. And number two, I never discussed it with you, Emily. I kept it hidden. And as soon as I know that I am hiding something, I know that it is wrong. So I acknowledged that. I prayed over it. And I gave myself a week, because again, for me, I know some people need to do one day at a time, but I needed to give myself a period of time because it needed to cover the days before Friday night and the days after Friday night, that I said I will do 7 straight days of on-plan eating. And so today is day 6. I have eaten on plan every single day, every single meal. I have seen my blood sugar, which had been, my fasting glucose had been around 102. I saw a 94 this week. I saw an 87 this week. My ketones, which had been at like 0.1, were at 0.4 by yesterday. I feel really good. I still went out last night and I got Flying Dutchman's from In-N-Out.
And you messaged me. You communicated with me.
That
was huge.
How to get it? Yes. And the other thing that I decided is I meal prep and meal plan on the weekends so that I'm successful during the week, because I take my food to work and every day. And so I decided that one of the things that maybe was a hinder is that I didn't do that when I ate on the weekend. And so I had told Emily that would be my plan. I was going to, and in case you haven't seen it, Emily, my meal plan is on Marco Polo for you. I did.
Awesome. I haven't seen it yet, but yay.
And so I found a really great source for heritage pig raised chorizo that is just the pork and some seasonings, no sugar. And I'm going to make chorizo and eggs to have for my first meal of the day. And for my second meal of the day, this is for the weekend, I'm going to do some turkey feta burgers. And then I culture my own cream. I make a kefir cream because I also kind of do keto gaps to work on my gut health. And so I make a sauce with that cream to add fat to any of my burgers and things. So I'm going to have the chorizo and eggs, which is going to be mostly with the yolks because I'm really trying to work on upping my fat. And then I'm going to have the turkey feta burgers with the cream sauce on top. And those are my meal plans for the weekend so that I can stay on track. And so this is day 6 of 7. After this, I probably will I'm going to take it one day at a time. And just for today, I'm going to be on plan and I'm going to keep that. I'm looking forward to seeing where the data goes with that. And just the fact that I'm feeling good. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I was inflamed and I lost 5 pounds of inflammation this week. So I'm happy for that, but I'm not focused on the scale right now. I'm just using it for data. And so all of this I'm giving to you as data, not because, I'm trying to lose weight. I want to lose weight, but right now my focus is being healthy and having myself in a constant healthy state where I just feel good mentally, physically, and emotionally. So I feel really good with what I accomplished this week. And thank you so much for letting me share it.
Monica, and you are winning. Like you've already won. I really feel like the weight loss and the healing and the everything else is just, it's obviously coming. Like it's obviously going to be there. You're winning and you're aligning in your mindset, because I feel like that's the first leg of the journey. And once you can, like you said, you were hiding things. And so once you're out in the light and you're sharing and you're aligned with your mindset, it's just inevitable that everything else is just going to fall into place. I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to be on this journey with you and allowing me to be in this space with you. But other people don't know. Whenever I have a client, I get so invested. Like I really, I feel what they feel. I feel the good and the bad and the ugly. And so it has been a joy working with you, an absolute joy.
Thank you. Same here.
Awesome. Andia, go ahead.
Monica, I just want to say I am so touched by what you said, and the fact that you pointed out the hiding piece, I think is just such a huge learning. And I speak to that because it was for me, and you stopped lying to yourself in that moment. You were like, that was like a noticeable feature and learning of the return to old behavior, which is just so huge. And I'm just so excited for you. And you're, like Emily said, like now it's all in the light and we get to feel good and not hide and not lie to ourselves, because if we're gonna, it's so freeing is the point. And I feel that coming through the screen from you, which makes me so excited for you. So
it's contagious.
So much for sharing.
It's contagious. It's like, what else can I share? What else can I share to not be weighted down by these lies, weighted down by these hidden secrets, like it's contagious. Like you could just feel the lightness off of Monica as she's just like sharing this, just like, yep, this is what I did. This is what happened. And it's gone. That's awesome. So Andia, you were going to share with us your experience this week.
Yeah, and actually, so last week I missed the meeting and I was at a work thing so I couldn't come. But so I'm sorry I wasn't here last week, but it's this actually like from a couple weeks ago. So I stopped eating. I was able to do a test because been about, I don't even know anymore, but I think it was like a good 2 months or 2.5 months. So I was like, let's do a test and X out heavy whipping cream. Now I drink coffee, so heavy whipping cream is it was important, just kind of like mixes the fat in my coffee. Otherwise the fat all floats to the top. So during this test, I did use goat flakes, but not the whole 2 weeks.
I have never heard of goat flakes.
Goat it's a goat cream that they dry, so they're flakes. But I actually, someone brought it up in a different meeting and I was like, oh my gosh, I have those in my fridge. So there was a good 2 weeks where I didn't have anything in my coffee. The fat was floating to the top, but it was fine. Whatever. But I really was able to, I did feel better without the heavy whipping cream. And, naturally for a test, we bring it back. So we see if we have a reaction. And I don't have a reaction. I also haven't been using it every day. And one of the hugest insights is that I don't need it. Like I realized that I don't need it. I also realized that if anything's triggering me, it's not that. But the good news is I also don't need it. And also it has highlighted the fact that, yes, I still drink coffee. And one of my future goals is to not drink coffee. But right now I'm drinking it. It helps me get a lot of fat in the morning. And so it's good that way. But also, just so the fat is not floating to the top of my coffee, I use the goat flakes and also an emulsion blender, which has, like, instead of the little tiny blender I was using with just that little swirly spiral thing on the end.
The milk frother.
The milk frother is like going 20 miles an hour compared to an emulsion blender, which is like Mach 10. It is just making the whole process better. And I'm able to actually use the goat flakes. The reason they were sitting in my fridge for so long is because they weren't like disintegrating in my coffee. And then it was like these things floating and it was gross. Right.
Yeah.
But now it's actually serving its purpose. And I don't need a lot of those flakes to make sure the fat is in. So I'm really have adjusted to a more black version of my coffee, which is, I think, a good step towards quitting it for me in my journey. Because if I can make it less desirable, and I just need to figure out how I'm going to get that fat in the morning. And I know there's plenty of other options for me. And it's going to allow me to open that up. But the whole point being that I was happy and excited that I didn't have a reaction to the heavy whipping cream. So in the future, if I want it for a recipe or something, I'm not going to have to worry that I'm going to like feel icky or sick. But I also realized that at least up until this point, and it's been probably a week and a half, I don't need it. And I just was like, that's such a good feeling. Like I'm not, I thought it was a triggering thing. And so I realized that it wasn't. So now I'm starting to repeat myself. So I'm done.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I think that's so important to have that food freedom, that I can have this food. I don't have to have this food. There's a huge difference in that. And that's where I think the addiction comes in, and then to really walk in our power, to really recognize that I'm the human here and I'm the one in control of what I put in my mouth. And it's not, I have to have this and I have to have that, and I'm completely controlled by my food. Like, how ridiculous do we sound? I'm controlled by ice cream. I'm controlled by pizza. I'm controlled by chocolate. Like, no, you're not, like you are the human and you get to decide what foods you put in your body. Are there addictions? Yes. I'm not pretending like they're not. I'm just saying, when you step back out of that addiction and you look at it, you're just like, oh, I'm the adult here. I forgot. Like, I totally forgot.
It is so freeing. And that's why, like, because I've heard you talk, Emily, about we've talked about coffee in here before. And so it's also highlighted next steps towards that. So that was like just a huge thing. And also, yeah, when we're addicted to food, it's like we can't not eat. Like we have to just have structure. We have to have these support groups around our addictions that aren't, because I'm in recovery from substances, and it's highlighted the other addiction, like I call them my little monsters, even though they're totally not little. They have everything to do with every daily life, like my food addiction. But it has allowed me to really work on those, because I don't have to, like, I know that I'm not going back to substances ever. And I work a program, and it's routine now, and it's automatic, that I have this freedom now to work on all of the other addictions that I have. And that in itself is freeing and allowing me to just move forward. Right. And yeah, it's this added structure in the community that really has helped me heal and get out of the grocery store. That was another huge thing for me. Yeah. And I don't have to drive all the way to the farmer just for cream, like for my raw milk, because I was using the cream at the top of my raw milk. And that's another thing. Like, I don't have to worry about having that in the fridge. Like, because I ran out of creamer. Like, it's freaking creamer. It was something I thought I needed, and I didn't.
That's awesome. And so, Andia, have you found that, like you said, your addiction to substances, and then now removing and navigating your addiction with food, that it's almost like reinforced your foundation of, you're like, I've totally got this. It's reinforced your foundation of breaking your addictions to substance abuse. Instead of, here's my fear. Whenever somebody comes to me with substance abuse, I'm like, oh, I don't want to re-trigger that. Oh, I don't want to re-trigger, whatever. But what I am seeing in the people that I do work with substance abuse is it almost like bolsters them. Like, they're like, I've been there, I've done this. And it strengthens like you just said, I'm never going back.
Yeah. And I was using substances because I didn't want to address my feelings. And now I'm completely comfortable with my body, with my life. I don't need, like, I've been 14 years in recovery now. Like that, I'm not hiding from my feelings anymore. I'm not insecure like I was back then. I'm also not in my trauma in an active abusive relationship. So there are so many life factors that are just so different than where I was then. But also it has, when you just said something that reminded me of the fact that I used so many tools to quit some substances that in my early recovery, so like over a decade ago. And I also was teaching those things because I'm an alcohol and drug counselor. I was teaching those things to people, but I just kind of like forgot about applying them to my own recovery because I didn't need those tools anymore because I was just like further down the line than that. However, I reawakened all of the in myself to actually use those tools for my food addiction, which has also rebirthed something inside of me. And yeah, I wasn't thinking about having a social community, like being more social in a supportive community. I mean, like this meeting to address my food addiction, because I was still in denial that I was a food addict. Like I just was like, oh, I know I need to quit sugar and I should probably go back eating no carb, blah, blah, blah. And it really like that insight catapulted me. And there's some past recorded meeting where I talk about that. But your comment makes me think of, it makes me go back there to having that insight. So
yeah. And as far as the coffee and caffeine, I would definitely suggest, I wouldn't say warn because that sounds dangerous. I would suggest that you start where you're at, and to go through it very naturally, very gradually. There's no need to rip the Band-Aid off. You don't get extra points. You don't get a medal at the end of this for quitting coffee or caffeine cold turkey. All you're doing is adding stress to your body. But I will tell you the benefits. I feel invincible. I feel like nothing can control me. I feel like I am operating on my own power. I'm not operating on borrowed power. I'm not operating on borrowed energy. I'm operating on Emily energy. And it is the most empowering feeling that I've ever experienced in my whole life. Especially with, I've talked about this before with the bipolar disorder, is that the caffeine mimics my bipolar cycle, in that I would have this high and then I would have this crash, and I would have this high and then I would have this crash, and then I would need the high to even function, like even to just like do basic things, like to write emails or whatever. I would need the high, and then I would always have the crash. And so now I can do my daily life just on Emily. Like, that's just amazing to me. So I encourage you to go there, because I want to like be on the other side going, this is so awesome. Like, come over here. It's so fun. But
I totally want to get there. I do. And I consider, so my food like sober date is 8/8. And even though I have been doing this kind of diet off and on for the last 4 years, I'm considering myself like a newbie in this, and I'm sticking to that date. And that is not that long ago. That's just like in August, right? And so I want to be really solid in knowing that I'm not going back to my old way of eating. And I feel that more and more every day. In fact, I literally told this to my husband this morning. For this past week, I don't know, like nothing really remarkable has changed in my life. Okay. It's just like, I go to work and whatever. And every morning I'm walking down the hallway to just like go into the kitchen and like do my little routine that I always do, and then sit down and have my me time. And you guys, I feel like I'm waking up on Christmas morning. I don't know why, but how freaking cool is it to have every morning be waking up feeling like it's Christmas morning? Like, what is today gonna bring? And it's not like I'm excited to open a present. Like, I'm not surrounding myself with cheap dopamine hits. Actually, that's something that I'm working on not having around. So I don't know where that's coming from, but like, bring on the Christmas day. It's all good. Like, or the feeling that we get, like, that's okay. Pretty cool.
Yeah. It's like an intrinsic joy. Our joy does not come from something else. Our joy does not come from food. Our joy does not come from substances. Our joy does not come from this or that. It's an intrinsic joy from within. It's a wellspring of joy from within our spirit. And I never knew that was even possible. Yeah. And it is. And it's more sustainable, because like you could, I'm not joking here right now. I know I'm being dramatic, but you could literally lock me away in a concentration camp today, and I'm going to have joy because I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. I know how powerful I am. And it's in here. It's not anywhere else. That's awesome. Okay. I've missed some stuff in the chat. Sorry. Yeah, this is interesting. So I'm thinking about doing just a one-off workshop about the holidays just in the next week or two. What are your concerns, or what should I talk about concerning the holidays? Have you guys have any places where you had hangups in the holidays in the past? Go ahead and just go ahead.
For me, so my family, like certain aunts and uncles, like would always bring certain treats, right? At the big family holiday thing. That's actually not, we don't really have that anymore. But from when I was a kid, it was always like those treats are coming on that day. So it was like, this is tradition. So my neural networks in my brain they're best friends when it comes to Christmas and treats. Like it's going to be and it has been really hard for me to break apart that messaging. But every single Christmas that has passed where it hasn't been like the whole family, it's been easier and easier. And I've been able to break that connection with Christmas being sweet treats. And I think that like that was a huge for me. So like maybe speaking to that connection, because I think that's a pretty common connection. I mean, the smorgasbord of treats that everybody kind of grazes on before dinner even occurs, right? And then after as well. So that might be, and then just like also the carbs too in the dinner, potatoes, like the other things and the fixings that typically go with. I think those triggering foods is my point that could definitely be covered. And then the pathways that are happening. If we can give our brain context around what is happening in my brain right now, these things are firing together. Those neurons are best friends. Remember what's that saying?
What fires together? I know what you're talking about.
Yes. And so when we know that and we give our brain context around what's happening, we can take our control back and we can make new habits and new traditions and new things. It doesn't have to be revolving around food. So.
Yeah, I think that's really tricky. I think that's, really one of those things that you almost have to have a plan for, and not just go, oh, okay, I'll stumble through this and see what happens. And then you're in a 3-month binge, Monica, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. My biggest concern at this time of the year, is dealing with what everybody else has to say. Why I'm not eating, why I'm only eating this, I've had a lifetime of, God bless my mother, I love her to death, but she will speak on everybody's food, everybody's plate, everybody. So there's never a right. Is that all you're eating? Or are you getting another plate, or you're getting more? Oh, that's a lot on your plate. Oh, you do it. So it starts with her. And then I don't have like a lot of different functions to go to, but even at work, I'm a teacher. And so, we have times where the end of the semester and they're bringing in the lady that does the coffee cart and all the things. And if I walk by and say, thank you so much, or take the time to stand around with my coworkers, and it's, oh, you're not eating. I even had an assistant principal one time when I grabbed a pastry to take to my daughter, say, oh, and you were doing so good on your diet. And she literally food shamed me in front of everybody standing there. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like I was so torn between ripping her a new one and she's a supervisor and like, are you kidding me right now? Kind of thing. So that's the thing that gets to me, is that if somebody sees me in a certain place and they ask me and they want to know, I'm happy to talk to them about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it for me, for my health, why it's necessary. But in general conversation, it is so stressful to me because I don't want to be rude to people. I don't want to, I mean, you know, they're blanketly, I want to just say, it's none of your business. I'm not eating. I didn't ask you why are you eating, or why you chose the apple flavored over the cherry flavored. I don't question you about your food. And people just think they have a right to do that. And I still want to be pleasant. I don't want to stop being me, but it always causes me stress because I stop being me and I'm more pleasant about it than I want to be. And I really would like that to change. I really would like to, I really want to say none of your business, but I want to find that middle ground between being super polite and protecting myself, because that's where I've gotten to. I've got to protect myself through this journey for me to heal. And I need the protecting myself words, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There's a balance, you know, standing up for yourself and then just like not making a big deal about it, you know? But yeah, that's got to be hard. And that's why I think these meetings are so important, so that we can go through those tough situations and then come back to our people, come back to our safe place and go, okay, this is my tribe. Okay, they get me. Okay, they understand. Okay, they went to a staff meeting too. You know, they went to the same, you know, family get together. Their mom, you know, bullied them. And so I think it's really important for us to connect with each other. Ricardo says, we eat a lot of fish, codfish, and potatoes on Christmas Day, typically the Portuguese diet. I'm also worried about when I cannot go outside and do my walking in the cold weather. That is very true. And for me, what was really important was I had to get over that obstacle in my mind and go, Emily, you can move your body inside your house. Like, nothing is stopping you from moving your body inside your house. And so that was difficult for me because it's not as fun. It's so much more fun to go see the trees and hear the birds and, you know, and walk around. And so that was almost like a reward, but it literally doesn't stop us from moving our body in the winter when there's 12 feet of snow. We can still move our body inside our house. So I'm just going to put that little seed there in your mind, Ricardo. Hopefully that helps. And yeah, that's going to be difficult to resist the potatoes until you feel that you know, can have the potatoes. Amy, go ahead.
Hi.
I
figured I would share. I was going to last week, but then we ended up going time and I was like, okay, it's not time for me to share. And so now I think there's time for me to share. So now I'm going to share.
Please.
Y'all, I'm so extra. And I think everyone knows that I'm extra because my body is difficult. That's not true though. I used to think that when I first went carnivore, I was eating tons and tons and tons of meat, and I got to the point where my body would physically not let me swallow. And I had to kind of include some more plants back in. And I just discovered, the Dr. Boz way, the higher fat, and I was absolutely thriving on it it was like 3 or 4 months. My body started to do the same thing. It made it to where I could not physically swallow. My throat would clench off and I would have food in my mouth. And if I try to force it down, it tries to come out my nose. That's fun. It doesn't usually go very well. So I'm unable to swallow. I was down to like 700 calories a day. And so I tried to up my protein, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to up my protein. And then my pain started to come back. So I am currently trying to figure out what I can eat, because I think my body is amazing. And I think it's trying to communicate to me, to tell me what I need. And I'm not listening because I'm listening to so many other outside influences that I'm not listening to myself. So I've just recently started muscle testing. And the way that I do it, because I am a Christian, I always pray to God first. I'm like, God, please help me understand what's going to be good for my body and what isn't going to work for my body. And then I'll muscle test. And so I'm creating this list of foods that I'm actually able to eat. And honestly, it changes day by day.
And by the amounts.
It does. Oh, yes. And the amounts. I have to figure out, can I have this much of this? Can I have this much of this? It's crazy. And it's being a little extra. But I've decided to kind of take almost a diet break. Stop listening to the outside voices, the outside influences, because I know a lot. And it's time for me to find where my body is going to work with what I know. But I have 18 different options that I need to try first. And then I will be able to say, okay, I've literally tried all of these. I've given it a week each. Nothing is working. Now it's time to move on to the next one. I think it's going to be a fairly long journey to figure out what is going to really work. So I'm hoping to have an actual update, an actual idea in the next couple of weeks to a month. But trying to do some self-experimentation and then the muscle testing. So, because I've had a lot of people that have been like, let's do, will you join us on this, the sardine fast? And let me see, there was the sardine fast. I've had 3 or 4 people ask me for a fat fast. I have had a couple other people reach out to me about just random things. And I'm like, I'm going to try it. I can't do them anymore. Every time I try one of these fasts, the egg fast or any of them, my body within days starts closing off to where I can't do it. So I'm taking a break for a little bit. And I've been trying one food at a time, but and I think it's going day to day. So like one day I can have chicken and the next day I can't have chicken. So I'm taking this time to really get to know my body and not what someone else says my body should be doing. Because you guys know, I've tried everybody's protocol and it works for a time and then it stops. And so I'm getting this feeling inside and I'm like, okay, I need to really focus and just see how it goes, because I honestly think I'm going to be good for a month and then it's going to change again. The fact that I got 4 months in with the Dr. Boz was kind of amazing, which is why I was like, this is it. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And then it stopped. And I was like, ah. And it's so frustrating and it can get so discouraging. But I'm choosing not to let it discourage me because I think it's taking me to the next level of self-understanding and self-reflection so that I start listening to myself instead of everyone else. So I think that's the next step in my journey, is learning what I need and not what others say I should be doing. It's really taking it to the next level.
Well, and I think it's so true. And, you know, like Becky just said, we don't win any badges of honor for following one certain way of eating, you know, and I think it's, you know, especially with our names being Carnivore Angel and Carnivore Minds, we're feeling almost obligated that we get stuck in this. Well, it's got to be carnivore. I got to be carnivore. If carnivore got me where I'm at, then I got to stay carnivore. You know, if I don't stay carnivore, I'm going to go back to mental illness. If I don't stay carnivore, I'm going to go back to autoimmune disease. You know, carnivore is a tool, y'all. Carnivore is for a time. Carnivore is not the be all end all everything. Did it get us where we're at? Yeah. I'm not going to not, you know, say that. It's amazing. But how ridiculous would it be to go, well, okay, for instance, when I was 18 years old, I went to Six Flags. And I was the first time I drove somewhere really like far by myself, and it was a big city. I went to St. Louis, and I took 55 north to get there. And so I thought that I was supposed to take 55 north to get home. I ended up in East St. Louis, and I don't know if you guys know where East St. Louis is, but it's like the apocalypse, like, you know, abandoned buildings and like scariness, and like you can't take an exit, or a little white girl will probably not live. And it's that kind of a logic. Well, I got carnivore to get here, so I got to have carnivore to go to the next step. Not necessarily. You have an inner knowing inside of your body. You have this inner GPS that tells you where to go. You just got to tap into it. You got to listen. So I'm so glad to hear that you're listening to your body, Amy.
Then really quickly, we have like 9 minutes. Muscle testing. Melanie asked, would you explain what muscle testing is? First, I have heard of it. Are you continuing carnivore and fat only in your testing? No, I'm not. I got all of the proteins, and I got all of the fats that I can get my hands on and that I can do. And it is a very limited amount of foods. Like, it is not a lot. It is not enough. So I have had to branch out to the dreaded vegetables and things like that. And let me tell you, I'm doing better now than I have been for the past couple of weeks, including the veggies. So muscle testing. What I do is I think I have room to demonstrate real quick. I take off my shoes and
you pray first.
I always pray first. I also have no electronics on, no phone, no nothing. So I pray and I'll say, God, can you please help me understand what's good for my body? You ask a question, I always hold it, whatever the food is. Okay, I got salt right here. Redmond real salt. So I will hold this right next to my heart. I'll explain what it's doing here in just a second. I'm just going to show you real quick. So I'll hold this right by my heart. Take a deep breath. This is good for my body. And you see, I start to move forward. I'm not doing that. I did not do that.
And you don't know until you experience it. Whenever you watch it, you're like, yeah, she's just leaning forward. Yeah, she's just leaning back. So you don't know until you try it.
Exactly. And you think I'm crazy. It's fine. So what it is that our bodies vibrate. Our bodies vibrate at a certain frequency, and different parts of our bodies vibrate at different frequencies. If we are still and if we are quiet our bodies have the ability to communicate to us what they are missing, because this salt vibrates. This vitamin D vibrates. It has a frequency. And when I put this into my body, it will alter my frequency. It will alter my vibrations. There are some things that you can take, supplements and food, that are going to increase your health and make it better. It will make you function in a better way. And then there's things that will detract and cause you problems. There's tons of different ways to do it. The sway test is what I just did. There's other ones. Some people will hold their fingers like this, and then they'll stick their fingers in here and they'll try to pull apart. You try to keep these two together and strong, and then you can hold it. You can just ask it. And then if you can pop your fingers apart, that says that it's made you weaker. It's not bringing strength and health to your body. It takes a lot of practice, like a lot of practice. And there's some methods that are better. Some people just do this. They interlock their fingers. And if one of them breaks apart, there's so many different ways to do it. The old ways, you would put your arm up and you would hold whatever the food was, and someone else would push. This is what all the grandmas say. All the grandmas are like, oh yeah, we used to do the arm one. So they would hold their arm up, and then they would have someone push on their arm. And if they could stay firm, then they knew that that food was acceptable. It seems to work through any packaging. It works through, I wouldn't do styrofoam. I'm just saying, I don't know. Styrofoam's kind of iffy for me, but so far it's worked for glass and plastic and metal. Sometimes I don't get a really strong response, so I will legitimately open it up and put some in my hand, no matter what it is. And then I will get a stronger response from it. The more you practice it, the better it gets, the easier it is to understand. And so far, every single thing that I have tried, that I've confirmed with muscle testing, has not hurt me. What I'm looking for in a response for something that's not going to do well is more than 2 pounds of weight gain overnight. I weigh myself every single morning. I don't see it as my weight or my value. I see it as data. And so I look for weight gain the next morning. I look for how does my mind feel? Does it feel fuzzy? Am I grumpier than normal? And I also tell everyone around me who understands and knows, I'm like, I'm going to try something new. Let me know if you see something that's out of the ordinary. And so my husband and I will do that. We'll be like, you're grumpy today. I love you, but you're grumpy today. And then we go, wait, what did we eat? Okay. Oh, I know what happened. Those types of things. So I have my own, and then my pain in my shoulders and my back and up my neck. That is one of my biggest indicators that what I ate is not okay. And so I kind of take all of those things and I'll do one food at a time, giving it time. And when I say one food at a time, I don't mean cauliflower mac and cheese. It's got cauliflower, it's got cream cheese, it's got 2 different kinds of regular cheese. It has onion powder, it has chicken broth, and it has salt in it. Oh, and pork rinds. Oh, and butter. So that's 9 ingredients. So that is not a great experiment to do, because I could have a problem with pork rinds or the onion powder, and I wouldn't know. I would just think, see, I can't have cauliflower. So that's the part that takes the longest and is the hardest, is you have to try the cauliflower, just the cauliflower. If you're already eating butter and salt, then, you can throw some of that. Sometimes it's interactions too, but that's what I've been doing. Cauliflower mac and cheese, yes, is back on my menu. It has been, I haven't gone up at all. I went up by a half a pound the first day, and then I lost a pound the second day, a whole pound. And I'm not saying that this is my new weight loss. I could care less about the weight loss. I am not going for that. I am going for what is going to make my body feel and function the best. So I'm quiet and I go, what sounds good? And then I go, okay, can I eat that? And if I have it, I'll pull it out, I'll muscle test with it, and I will see how I do with it, how my reaction is. Sometimes your reaction is mediocre and you're like, which one is it? Is it yes? Is it no? Because I'm getting both. So those days I just decide, do I want to go ahead and try it? Do I want to do it? And then I pay attention. So it's each individual person's own responses. Normally forward is yes, back is no for the sway test, but some people are inverted. You get it backwards. So there's so many nuances to it. And this is where we take in the information and then we take it home and we marinate on it. And I did a live the other day. I said, I'm not your drug dealer. I do not have your drug, your formula that I can give you that's going to bring you all of these amazing results and make you feel, everyone's like, when am I going to get the high from being in ketosis? I'm not your drug dealer, but I can give you a seed. And I need you to take that seed home and I need you to plant it and nurture it and water it and care for it. Means you got to take it home. You got to put it in here and you got to go, okay, I'm going to try this. We're going to see what happens. You have to put in the work. You're the one that has to try all of these things. Listen, be quiet, be still, care for yourself. And then see if that seed grows, then that is a good thing for you. If it makes you feel terrible and horrible, don't keep trying it for a month. It's okay. That is not the right seed. Put the seed away on the wayside in the rocks. It's okay. Anyways, so that was that. Go ahead, Em.
Yeah, and I also, not only do I have like foods, but I use supplements. And I'll put the supplement to my chest, and then I'll hold one pill of the supplement, and I'll do the muscle testing with one pill, and then I'll hold 2 pills, and then I'll hold 3 pills, and I will make sure that I get the right dosage so that I'm doing the right dosage of each of the supplements, because y'all, it's not cheap to have these supplements. Like, it's ridiculous. And what I say is, do I need this? Not, is this good for me? Is this bad for me? I say, do I need this? Because I'm about the economy version. Like, let's just do the basics here. Like, I don't want to be like going all extra and have really expensive urine just because it's safe for me. Do I need this? And it's like learning a new language to really experience that. Real quick before we go, Tom, I would love to see, if you can, what you are cooking, because you've been like making me hungry the whole meeting. I'm so excited to see. Oh my gosh, those are beautiful. Burgers with beautiful cheese melted on it. I love it. I can't see that. That's amazing.
It's melted butter. If I turn it too far, it'll be pouring all over.
No, don't. Oh, burgers with cheese with melted butter.
Yes, ma'am.
I love it. Well, thank you for making me hungry the whole meeting. And I just love that you were grilling the whole time. Awesome. Well, we are out of time, but
it's better than me. It's better than me yapping away like I have been last couple of weeks. It's better than me yapping away like I have been the last couple of weeks. So
I love your yapping. Don't you ever stop yapping. Awesome. Yeah, you can go to Carnivore's Angel YouTube and find it says muscle testing. Find that, and thank you guys so much. I enjoy these conversations. I love where these conversations go. We never know where it's going to go, and it's always interesting, always fun, always helpful. And you guys are you're the best. All right. Thanks. Have a great Saturday.